Is it is my screen visible?
No, no. Yes, no, visible. Visible.
Now it's visible.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So today I'll talk about my course, my master's degree in Italy, the scope that is available for Indian students abroad, and the various type of opportunities that your university gives when you go abroad. And I'll also talk about how to apply from India, what are the documents that you need to send abroad for your admission, and also the facilities that the Indian government provide for Indian students to go abroad and study. So I did my master's in materials engineering and nanotechnology. It's a 2 years course in Italy. So in the first year, I studied in Italy, and during the end of my first year, I was selected for an exchange program, fully funded exchange program to France. So from my university, they sent me to France. As an exchange student, I was representing my university. I went there. I stayed there for 6 months, and I studied 1 semester. And at the end of the semester, they liked my performance in France, so they requested me to continue for pursuing my master thesis there in their own laboratory. So I had to stay there in France for 1 year. So my course mainly deals with both engineering and basic fundamental physics. So it's a combination of physics, chemistry, maths, as well as the applications of it. So it's an interdisciplinary course. What is the concept of this course is that they will train engineers. They'll teach you the basic fundamental concepts of physics, chemistry, and maths. They'll make you apply those that knowledge using your engineering skills. So we already, during a bachelor's degree, we already learn programming, we already learn about manufacturing or IT. All those things are engineering skills. So what their aim is to get the students involved into the basic fundamental science for research. So the main applications of this department or this field of materials engineering and nanotechnology is that it is applicable in electronics, construction, manufacturing, electrical, IT, medical, and biotech, and a lot more fields. So for this course, any department students can apply. You just have to have an engineering background, and you have to either apply directly on the university website, or you can apply through consultancies. So I applied directly through the university website. So in my course, I was involved in making electronic devices in the laboratory. So one of the applications of nanotechnology, main important feature of nanotechnology is that you can use it in medicine, electronics, and construction, all those things. So in the first picture, you can see they've used this technology for the flexible phones. And in the picture on the right, they're using nanotechnology for curing cancer and attack other harmful viruses. Like they'll make nanorobot and they will attack those viruses. And on the picture on the left, bottom left, you can see it is the world's smallest computer. It is built entirely on nanotechnology. It was built by IBM, and it is the world's smallest computer. And on the right, you can see this carbon nanotubes. So carbon nanotubes is one of the main branches of nanotechnology. It has a lot of scope, and there are a lot of studies that is being conducted. There's a lot of funding for doing research in carbon nanotubes. So next, I'll talk about my thesis. I was working on semiconductors. So at the time when I went to France, I got an opportunity to meet a lot of leading scientists, and I was working on an experiment on which the scientist got a Nobel Prize for physics. His name is Albert Fert. So I was continuing his research. I was working under his team, and I was continuing his research. So the aim of my thesis is to build a semiconductor device. It's a heterostructure that can control the flow of current in a circuit. So in this picture, at the bottom, you can see the black layer. That is the solid semiconductor. And the gray layer is a liquid. It is an organic molecule called hexadecanthiol. And on that, we are depositing cobalt. So it's a 3-layer device. The main reason for using a liquid in between is to reduce the weight, and also we'll be able to get we'll be able to control each and every electron that is passing through the layer. So this has application in magnetostriction effect, and they got scientist Albert Fert, he got a Nobel Prize for this. So I was able to work on this, and so this is one of the microscopes that I used for doing my research. This is called a scanning tunneling microscope. So with this microscope, we will be able to see each and every atom in the device. We'll be able to move the atoms. We can arrange it according to our necessity, and we'll be able to perform the tests that we require. So with this microscope, I took on the image on the right, you can see the atoms here. That image was taken using the STM microscope. So on the bottom, you can see those small dots, dot-like things. So those are the atoms. And on the left, I did an X-ray diffraction on my sample. So those circles that we can see are the atoms of cobalt. So we use this method for studying the crystal structure. Like in our first year of engineering in bachelor's in physics, we will learn about crystal structure, right? Like face-centered crystal, body-centered, all those things. So those things we are applying in this, and we are studying the structure. So my project went very well, and they're doing further research in that project. And currently, after I graduated in December, I finished my degree within in less than 2 years. And so now I'm going to continue for my PhD, either in France or in Germany. I'm deciding on which one I should select. And so these are the kinds of opportunities that you will get. The microscope that we use, this one is around 5 million euros. So they'll let you work alone on those kinds of microscopes. These are very expensive. So one of the reasons that one of the advantages of studying abroad is that we'll be able to work on their technology. They have a lot of technology, but they don't have students coming in. So this is one of our great opportunity for us to go abroad and pursue these kinds of research. And the best part about this is any department students, electrical, electronics, mechanical, civil, and aeronautical, all these department students can apply for this course. Most of the master courses abroad, either in Europe or in US, are based on interdisciplinary subjects. So any department students can apply for any departments. And at the moment, nanotechnology has the most funding in Europe and also US, and it is one of the most fastly growing fields in today's technology related things. So the scope of going abroad is that one, since we are Indians, since we are very hardworking, they prefer Indian students. Even for my PhD, they wanted Indian students. I told that I am from India, and they were very happy to. They told they like working with Indians, and already they have a lot of Indian students working with them. So that is one advantage for us. Plus, our Anna University syllabus is very vast. So I studied mechanical engineering. My degree is mechanical engineering, but I was taught about electrical, electronics, computer science, all those things I know. So they are very happy to take students who know all these kinds of subjects, not only mechanical or not only their own department, but we have an idea of other departments as well. So that is the scope. And so the next is the job opportunities. Usually when we go abroad, the main reason for us going abroad is to earn money, and to earn money more than we earn in India. That's the main reason most of us go abroad. So when we go abroad, we always look for campus placements. So all the universities, 99% of the universities, they have campus interviews. And in Italy, in my university is one of the top university, is the top university in Italy, and It's one of the top universities in Europe. So for my university, we got campus interviews from Ferrari, Lamborghini, BMW, and all the top uh, companies, and the students did get placed. They get minimum of 2 lakhs per month salary, but you have to learn the language. We already know English, and during our 2 years of study in that country, you have to learn that country's language. They'll teach you the language, and you have to learn and write the exam. So if you clear that exam, you'll automatically get a job. Even though there's a recession going on all over the world, uh, there's still a lot of jobs for engineers, because this is the backbone of the economy, and they always have a lot of funding for the engineering research related topics. So there's always a job, you will get some job in some company for sure, that's for sure. And also they provide Indian students with a lot of scholarships. I'll talk about that at the end of the presentation. But you do get a lot of scholarships, and every 6 months companies will visit your university for recruiting students. And some companies, they will fund you for studying for PhD, or they'll fund you for studying an extra master's course. For example, they might require someone who has an MBA, so they'll fund you for 2 years. They'll send you to some other university. You can study for 2 years fully free, and then you can join their company for a job. And regarding the admission procedure, the first step, the most important step that you have to consider is getting letter of recommendations. You need at least 3 letter of recommendations. So make sure you get one letter of recommendation from your HOD. For me, mechanical HOD Muthuselvi ma'am, she helped me a lot for my masters. Actually, she was the one who introduced me on how to apply for the admissions. She sent me to some education fairs. I got to meet a lot of university people, and that's how I started getting a knowledge about higher studies abroad. So main thing is get a letter of recommendation from your HOD, because the university, the foreign university, they will read the letter of recommendation, and they will see who's writing. They'll see if some normal teacher, if your school teacher is writing, they won't accept. They'll see the qualification of your HOD. They'll see the qualification of the person who's writing you the letter. So make sure you get a very strong letter of recommendation. So I suggest you to get one letter of recommendation from your HOD, one from the principal, and another from your subject teacher. So you'll have 3 types of recommendation letters. So, and the second one is you have to write your motivation letter. So the motivation letter will help you to gain admission. Sometimes even if your cutoff is very low, they'll see your motivation letter, they'll see your own personal story, they'll sometimes they'll try to give admission to you. So you have to write very clearly what you studied, what research you did during a bachelor's degree, or you have to talk about your thesis, your final year project. You have to talk about how hardworking you are, and you have to explain to them everything in detail. You should not be very personal, you should not tell family stories and all, but you do have to tell your personal academic skills. So that one is very important. And second one is choosing universities. So most of the people who are very rich and who have a lot of money, they go to US, because in the US it's easy to get admission if you pay them a lot of money. But you also have to see the job opportunities. In US, there's not much job opportunities at the moment because of the political situation there. The fees is very high in US, and even if you get scholarship, you have to pay a lot for your accommodation. In the Europe, it's the opposite of US. So education is almost free in all universities, and you get some kind of scholarship. They'll give you scholarship based on your marks, or based on your family background, or based on your master thesis, or sorry, your bachelor thesis. So you'll get a lot of scholarships for that. And so I suggest that if you are looking for an easy higher studies abroad, I suggest you people to apply for Europe. And regarding the universities that you select, make sure that you apply for at least 20 universities when you go, because most of the admission procedure is online and it's free, so you can apply for 20 or even 30 if you want, because the competition is very high from India. A lot of students apply from India. For example, in my department, in masters, there are around 400 students only in materials engineering and nanotechnology. There are around 400 students. In that, almost 100 are from India. So there are only 100 Italians, and the remaining 300 are foreigners. In that 300, 100 are from India. So the competition is very high. So you have to apply at least 1 year before. So suppose you're at the end of your third year, if you start applying, you'll get an idea about the universities, you'll get the idea about the courses and the opportunities that are available online, and you will know which master's degree you want, which specialization you want to take. So start browsing as soon as possible. If you have interest, please start browsing as soon as possible. And in Europe, again, there are a lot of countries. So it will be very hard to choose which country you want to go. So France and Germany, they are the most leading researchers they produce a lot of research papers per year in Europe. So they have a lot of funding, and there are a lot of universities in France and Germany. In Germany, education is free. It's zero. You don't have to pay anything. But in France, it will cost you around 4 lakhs per year. But they have scholarships for that. You have to, every university have a separate type of scholarship. So you have to consult the university for that. But overall, if you want to study in Europe, even if you don't get a scholarship, you can finish your studies in less than 15 lakhs for the 2 years, including food, accommodation, and all those things. So I'll talk about my scholarship that I got in Italy. So I didn't pay any money for my fees or for anything. So they have this academic scholarship in Italy. The Italian government pays you money for that. So if you qualify for that, so almost all Indians get that scholarship, because our family income should be less than 25 lakhs per year. So almost all the students, most of the middle class people, their salary is obviously less than 25 lakhs per year. So we'll automatically qualify for that. But they'll give you that scholarship only for first semester. So after the first semester, you have to have very good marks. If you have very good marks, the scholarship will continue for the first year. And again, for second year, you have to have good marks in your first year. So they'll see your first year marks and they'll give you scholarship for the second year. So the scholarship, what I'm telling is that you don't have to pay any fees. They'll give you, they'll take your bank account number and they'll give you 4 lakhs money for your rent in Italy. So you have to either stay in a hostel or you have to rent an apartment. So that 4 lakhs will be enough for you to stay in Italy for 1 year. So that scholarship you'll get. And also they'll give you 500 rupees. So it's like 5 euros per day for food. So you don't have to spend any money at all, like zero. You have to just buy the plane tickets. You have to go there and you can start studying. So if you study very well, you'll get a lot of opportunities to go abroad again from there. So when I went to France, I didn't pay any fees for the France university also. I got scholarship from Italy as well as I got scholarship from France. And again, when I was working for my master thesis, they paid me a new scholarship again. So funding is not a problem when you go to Europe. Some way or the other, you'll find a funding. And while you're doing your master's studies, you can also work on part-time. They have a lot of part-time jobs. So since most of our population in India, they speak English. Since our degree is in English, there are a lot of English teaching classes. So we can go abroad and you can teach English to the native people. So in Italy, they don't speak English. The general public, they don't speak English. They speak English only in the universities. So you can take English classes for the school children or the old people, those things. You can. A lot of old people, they learn English actually. So I don't know what the trend is, but my friends are teaching a lot of old people how to speak in English. So that is there, and the pay is also very good. So you can simultaneously study as well as do part-time job and you can manage without getting money from home. And regarding the facilities, so our Indian government, they have separate scholarships for specific countries. So there's this MHRD scholarship. What they do is, so Ministry of Human Resource and Development. So they have 5 scholarships every year for Italy. Nobody knows about this scholarship. Not very much people know about the scholarship. It's very rare that people know. I didn't know about this scholarship until I went to Italy. So this one is like very secretive scholarship, and it's very easy to get. So if you get this scholarship, the government will pay for the whole course. You don't have to pay any money. They'll pay you around 90,000 rupees per month for your expenses. So you won't be getting scholarship from the university. The Indian government will pay for your scholarship. So for your monthly rent, your food, your books, all your stationery items, the Indian government will pay for that. So that is one kind of scholarship, and it is guaranteed for 2 years. So if you get that scholarship, it's guaranteed for 2 years. So, and there's this university scholarship, which I already previously told you, that it's no guarantee that you'll get the scholarship for the whole course. You'll get you'll get for semester wise. If you don't have enough marks, they'll ask you to return all the money back. So you have to study well, and you have to get that kind of scholarship. And in India, there are a lot of foundations and a lot of NGOs that offer a scholarship for students. You don't have to have a poor family background to get that scholarship. If you have good marks, they'll give you the scholarship. They won't care about your economic situation. Even if you're capable of spending your own money and going abroad and study, they will give you scholarship. So that is there. And one more thing you have to be careful is that some companies, they offer you scholarship. What they do is they'll make you write a bond. They'll send you abroad, they'll pay for everything, and after 2 years they'll expect you to come back to their country, and you have to work with them for 5 years or 3 years, or like that. So you have to be careful with that, because most of the students who go abroad, they want to settle in abroad, at least work there for 10 years and then come back. So you have to be careful when you're getting those kind of scholarships. And regarding the universities in the US and Canada, and also in Europe, they'll check your language proficiency. So you have to write either IELTS or TOEFL. So those are English testing languages. So you have to be very fluent in the English, otherwise it will be very hard to survive abroad. And these two exams, you can write either this IELTS or TOEFL. And if you're going for US, you have to write a GRE also. And each university, they'll see only your GRE score. They won't see your Anna University marks, or they won't see your 12th standard or 10th standard marks. They'll see only your GRE score, and they'll see your letter of recommendation and your motivation letter. So they'll see only those three. So plus the GRE is a little expensive, and so you have to prepare a lot. At least you have to prepare for at least 6 months to take that exam. And based on the GRE mark, you will get a scholarship. In Canada, some universities, they ask for GRE, some universities they don't. So it depends on the university. If you want to go only to Canada, then I suggest you don't write GRE, because it won't be useful. You can go with your 12th standard and your bachelor's degree marks. And so one more thing that I need to suggest is that there are some very good universities in New Zealand and Australia also. So do check. Some people think it is very expensive, but they have a lot of scholarship opportunities in Australia and New Zealand. So don't forget to check opportunities there also. My suggestion is that try going abroad. I'm not saying you have to settle in abroad. If you go abroad, you'll get an idea about the technological factors, the advanced technology. You can go there, you can learn their techniques, you can learn their technology, we can learn how they're managing their research skills and all those things, and we can come back, we can implement in our country, and we can develop our own country. So those, at least spend 2 years abroad, so you'll get an idea about your field. You'll become an expert after those 2 years, and it will be very life-changing. So I highly request you to study abroad or try going abroad. You'll get an idea, because bachelor's degree, just bachelor's degree is not enough in this current world. They prefer a master's degree, at least master's degree. And if you have a PhD, it's very good. But at least should have a master's degree so that you will get a very good salary and you will have a very good life. And once you go to the university or any university abroad in Europe, they'll give you free healthcare. So the university will pay for that sometimes you have to pay, but it's free healthcare. So that is one biggest advantage. No matter any kind of injury, any kind of accident, any kind of surgery that you take, everything is free. So that was there for you. You will also have support from the university for buying those kinds of insurance. So there are a lot of factors that you have to consider before going abroad. It will look very scary. I was very scared because I didn't have any help. I didn't know whom to approach for applying abroad. I didn't know any seniors also. I randomly applied and I was very persistent that I have to go abroad and study. So I went on my own, and it will look very scary, but it's not scary at all. It's very easy, from admission to applying for visa to blank plane tickets, going there. It's all very easy, and I highly recommend you people to go and study. Consider studying abroad. It's not compulsory. I'm not saying it's compulsory for you to go, but if you are capable of going, if you have interest, if you want to develop your skills, you have to go. You can go abroad, and the advantage of studying engineering is that we have the skills. Engineering people have skills both physically we can do, especially mechanical department students. We are from the first year we are working on machineries, so that is main advantage for us. So the European universities, they prefer engineers rather than BSc physics or BSc chemistry, because we are capable of doing physical work. We have both engineering knowledge, and in masters you will gain the fundamental science knowledge. So you can apply these both, and Indians are everywhere. So Indians are one of the most seek you for giving jobs because we work very hard. So every company will have at least 2 to 3 Indians abroad. So please try if you really want to improve your skills, and if you really want to have a good career, I suggest you to study abroad. And if you have any doubts regarding study abroad, or if you have any doubts about the job opportunities abroad, I have given my email ID on the screen. I will share my email ID with the Vice Principal sir and also Mechanical HOD ma'am. So don't hesitate to contact me. I'll help you clarify all your doubts. I can even help you with admission procedures. I can tell you what universities are good, and I'll help you applying for admissions. From admissions to the visa, I can give you my own personal experience, and I can give you suggestions for that. So that's it. So I think I hope I was able to share my personal experience to you clearly, and I hope at least I inspired one of you to go abroad and study. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Lokesh. A basic question is on
Yes,
behalf
sir.
of our students, right?
Yes, sir.
You did your undergraduate in mechanical engineering,
Yes, sir.
but you have selected the masters in material science, that is related to physics or electronics, right?
Yes,
whether
sir.
is it manageable? Because nowadays when we did our UG, our students are facing difficulty in the allied papers. For
Yes.
example, when you did your UG, you may undergone microprocessor and some electronic papers like that.
Yes. Yes, sir.
So the students have some lack of idea, as well as they feel some difficulty when they are doing their allied papers.
Okay.
But you did your UG in mechanical, you did your PG in masters in some physics or electronics related. Whether is it manageable?
Yes, sir. Actually, my course is since it's materials engineering and nanotechnology, half of my course is based on mechanical engineering. So in the bachelor's degree, we had manufacturing technology, strength of materials, kinematics of machinery. All those papers we have even in masters. It's the advanced versions we have in masters, and the other half of the subjects they'll teach you from the basics.
Basics.
Yes.
So before undergoing the masters, they should have some basic knowledge on that. Am I right?
Yes. Yes, sir.
The second doubt is when you did your for getting admission in Italy, our annual income should be less than 25 lakhs.
No, that is for getting a scholarship.
Scholarship. The
Scholarship.
second thing, the MHRD also providing some financial assistance through
Yes.
scholarship scheme.
Yes, sir.
Whether we have any restriction on annual income for
No.
MHRD?
No, there's no restriction for on annual income, but you should have minimum 8.5 GPA, and should have no history of arrears.
Arrears in the UG.
Yeah, in bachelor's degree, yes.
Oh, okay. Whether normally in India, when we did our UG in one specialization, when we did some interdisciplinary course in the masters, to get job opportunities, it's little bit difficult in India. Am I right? It's I think my point of view is correct, right?
Yes.
So whether the same problem will be happen in the abroad also, or
No. Usually, what in abroad, how they will say is that, like in India, they'll ask you, why did you shift your department from one engineering to another? Why did you go to? Why are you doing like this? They'll ask us like that. But in abroad, what they'll do is, they'll take advantage of your 2 degrees. So suppose you do bachelor's in one department and master's in another department, they'll make you work in those 2 departments. They'll give you an opportunity to work in those 2 departments. So that's an advantage for them, and they prefer students who have multidisciplinary knowledge.
no. Some question and answer is there in the chat box. Yeah.
I'll for developing and building those kind of nano devices, what are the prerequisites we need to know? For the nanotechnology, you have to be very thorough with engineering physics 1, engineering physics 2, M1, M2, M3, M4, and chemistry 1 and 2, because those are the basic subjects that we will deal in master's degree. So since nanotechnology is fully based on physics and chemistry and maths, you have to be very good in those subjects. They won't see your marks, especially in those subjects, but you have to have that knowledge on that subject. So, and also one more thing, I forgot to mention that if you want to go abroad, some people they will have a dream of going abroad, but they won't apply because they think they have very less marks. So that is not the case usually. And in abroad, yes, some university they will see your marks, but most of the universities they'll see your capability, they'll see your knowledge. They won't even see your history of arrears. They'll see your letter of recommendation. They'll see your motivation letter. They'll see your enthusiasm. They'll have an online interview with you, and they'll see how you are talking to them. They'll see your potential, and based on that, they'll give you admission. So marks are part of the interview, but usually they'll see your personal performance also. And so second question, can you recommend any top universities which would benefit higher studies, especially for lower middle class? Okay, so since you're saying lower middle class people, I suggest one of the main country that I suggest is apply to Italy. There are a lot of very good universities in Italy, and it's free. You can study. The master courses are very advanced, very good, and you'll get scholarship. If you don't want to spend your own money, apply for Italy, and also Germany. Germany, anyone can study there for free. They have no scholarship, nothing. You just have to pay 25,000 per semester. That is for your bus ticket and all those things. They'll give you a student bus pass and a train pass. For that, you have to pay. But in Germany also, it's free. So in Italy, Politecnico di Milano is the top universities, and there are a lot of students applying from India. And there's also a university called as Sapienza University. It's in Rome. That university is also very good. So if you want any information regarding universities in Italy or France or Germany, you can send me an email. I can send you a list of universities and the types of course they offer. I'll go to the next question. Would the CAT exam be useful for higher studies? CAT, no, you can use those exams for doing masters in MBA, Masters in Business Administration. For that, they will. You can use it, but they won't prefer those exams because those exams are like CAT and all is within India, so they don't ask for that, but if you have and if you give them the marks, they will take it. But mostly the admission in Europe is based only on your bachelor's degree marks. That's it. They won't even see your high school marks. High school marks are also not important. Your bachelor's degree marks, that is very important. They'll give you admission based only on that. So is studying abroad on the cards, considering this unsafe situation? See, the situation is always unsafe in some way or the other, right? So we can't have a 100% safe situation. There's no guarantee what will happen tomorrow, right? Even in India, we don't know what the situation is tomorrow. We don't know how. Already, the job market is a little slow now in India. So I don't think that is also very safe. So we have to take a risk. We have to take, but if you have this passion, if you work very hard, I'm 100% sure you'll get a job. I can say that for sure. Your professors will help you. If you're a very good student, if you have a very good communication with your professors, they'll recommend you for your jobs. My friends, they have gotten jobs like that. My seniors are working in Italy, in other countries also. Their professors recommended them. So even for my PhD, my professor only recommended me for my PhD. My professor from Italy, and also our Muchalvi ma'am, she also recommended me for the PhD. So if you are very good, somewhere or the other, some form of help you will get. So you have to take the risk. Nothing is 100% safe, so, but you have to take the risk if you want to follow your passion. So I am agriculture student. There was opportunity for us, and yes, there is a lot of opportunities for agriculture also, especially in this genetically modified department. Those departments, there's a lot of research for agriculture students, because see, the population is getting very high in the world, and they are not able to feed all the people. So what they're trying to do, they're trying to genetically modify the crops so that you'll get more nutrients from very small amount of food. So that they are trying, and there's a lot of scope for agriculture also. And if your aim is to get into research, you definitely have to do a master's. You can as well do that in abroad. You can do abroad. In India, one of the reason many people go abroad for doing masters is that after doing masters, it's very hard to find a job in India. They'll ask you for experience, even for bachelor's degree. Even if you're a fresher, they'll ask you for like, do you have any experience? They'll ask you, do you have 2 years experience, 3 years experience, and also they'll ask you for experience. So one advantage of going abroad is that after you finish your job, for freshers, they have a separate category abroad. So based on that category, you will get a job. You can gain experience. After that, you can come back and you can continue your research in India. And in India also, there are a lot of research scientist positions available. So after you finish your masters, you can come back. You can work in ISRO. You can work in BARC and a lot of good central government research organizations and institutions. You can work there. So there are a lot of opportunities for research in India. So agriculture, yes, at the moment it's one of the leading research industries. So there's a lot of opportunities for that. So then the next question: how important is UG project? Take some tips for select project. See, UG project is the most important one. Even when you go for a PhD, they'll ask you for your project. If you go for a job, they'll ask you for your project. You have to explain both your bachelor's and master's degree project. So that is very important. And whatever, even if you're doing a small project in your bachelor's degree, you have to be 100% thorough about the concepts. If you simply can't just do some namesake project and we can't explain that to the people, because they will expect you to know everything you did. Because what they will assume is, they'll assume you did the project on your own. So when you do the project on your own, you have to know all A to Z about that topic. So you have to be very thorough. And based on regarding the topics that you are selecting, it depends on the department that you are doing your bachelor's actually. So I know only about mechanical. So my topic was on manufacturing. I use the same manufacturing techniques for my master's also. So you have to be very selective on the top projects. I suggest you, please don't buy your projects in these those people there, the project centers. Please don't do that, because it will not be very helpful for you, especially when you want to do masters. If you don't want to do masters, if you just want to get a job after bachelor's, you can do whatever you want. But If you want to do master, even in India, if you want to do masters in IIT, all those things and all, they will see your bachelor's degree. They'll see your project. If you're not capable of explaining the project properly, they'll reject you. They won't give you thesis also for masters. So that is there. So, um, so yes, is there work after we come back to India? Yes, there is a lot of working opportunities in India after we come back after a master's degree. There's this advantage for us because in India, people know that the technology abroad is very advanced. So they will definitely know that we were able to learn that new advanced technology, and they will expect us to implement that technology back in India. So there are a lot of opportunities in India. So yes, I suggest you people to decide what your specialization is on, because you have to select a particular subject for your masters. So based on that subject, you have to see if there's a job market for that in India also. So that you have to do. For example, in agriculture, there's this branch called genetics, right? So at the moment, that branch is not very good in India. There's not much research, not much exposure or opportunities or funding for that in India. So even if you do very good masters in abroad, it's hard to come back to India and get a proper job. There are jobs, but very less. That we have to consider. And that's it. Those are the questions. Does anyone have any other questions?
I think no.
Yeah. Okay. So if you have any doubts regarding studies or masters in India or abroad, I'll give my email ID to our vice principal and our HOD, Muthushelvi ma'am. So if you can contact me from email anytime. I'll respond to you within one day, and I'll try to help you as much as possible.
Thank you, Lokesh. Today I'm very happy to have a alumni like you. I think most of the students are get benefited from your interaction. Right?
Thank you.
We hope you keep in touch with us.
Yes, sir.
Before you are going, you just visit our campus once again.
Yeah, sure, sir. I'll come and visit the campus once.
Today, really, I was very happy in my teaching fraternity. We have interaction with your juniors, right?
Yes.
Mostly they will get benefited. Right? Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Bye.